Hello everybody and welcome to Scratch Challenge number 9. In today's Scratch Challenge we're going to look at loudness, and we're also going to use a couple of different operators to kind of use the information of loudness. So to get started, what I've done is I have my sprite here on the screen. I'm going to start by just talking about loudness. So if you go into sensing, there is a block called loudness. So to get loudness to work or turn on, just start by clicking on the block. So you can see I clicked on the block, and what comes up is this little window. And so the first thing you have to do is you have to click allow, and this is allowing the program to have access to your microphone. So we click on that. The next thing that should happen is right around here in your screen, there should be a pop-up that occurs that asks if you want to allow Scratch to have access to your microphone. The reason why it didn't pop up for me is because I'm using Google Hangouts and I've already granted Chrome permission to use my microphone, so that's why it didn't come up. But there will be another pop-up that comes up around this area of your screen, and you're going to have to click allow. If you don't click allow, your microphone won't work. So how you know if your microphone's working? If you see right beside the loudness block, there's a little square. If you check that square, now I get a pop-up, and you can see every time I talk, the loudness changes, and there's a little bit of background noise there. Yeah. But you can kind of see the loudness changing. So now it's a high number, and now it's a low number. Low number if it's quiet. High number if it's loud. So the idea that you can do is it's a range between 0 and 100. 0 being quiet, and 100 being really, really, really loud. Because the microphone's right beside my face, you're going to get really loud moments, really quiet moments. So that's the loudness block, and that's how you can turn it on to see it. So I'm going to leave it there just for now. So let's get something to happen with this. So I'm going to go to events, and I'm going to just start by doing the when flag click just to kind of start things off classically. So what we're going to do is I want to get something to happen. Now we're going to check to see if something happens with an if. I'm going to use the operator of equals. And we're going to say, let's pretend that this is a loudness meter at a hockey game or a basketball game. And if the loudness meter hit 100% loudness, we got something to happen. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, if loudness equals 100, because 100 is the highest value the loudness can be. So if we get the loudness to be at exactly 100, then let's get something to happen. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually go in here, and I'm going to get the costume of this guy to turn red. So I'm not going to use a change color. I'm going to actually set the color effect. And I did some work to try to figure this out. And I know that the color effect that I want for the color red, because I practiced this beforehand, is 160 for this character. So if I set the color effect to 160, now if I run this right now and try to test it out, it's not going to work. And I'll just show you why. So when the green flag is clicked, if loudness equals 0, then, so here we go. So I'll press stop, press green flag. And now I'm going to get my loudness to be 100. And it's not going to work. It's not going to work. The reason why is when I clicked the green flag, it checked once to see if the loudness was 100%, and it wasn't, and then it just stopped looking. So we need to remember to use the forever block. And this uses the forever block. Now what's going to happen? Stop. Start. And if my loudness goes up, I now turn them red. Looked. One thing that might be handy to do with this activity is to build a reset button. So what we're going to do really quick is I'm going to do a when the space key is pressed, let's bring in a clear graphic effects. So let's say, for example, you had the loudness on now. So let's do this, and we're checking to see the loudness, and we get to 100. You hit the space key, and it goes back. Every time you hit the space key, it removes the effects. So you can see I can, and you can see I can get the color to change back, and I can reset it. So we'll think of the space key as our reset button. Is that good for everyone? Okay, so that's pretty simple. But there's a little bit more that we can do with this. So a little bit more that we can do with this is now we can start checking to see if the value is greater than or less than. And these operators right here are our greater than, less than operators. And just to review really quickly, I'll just pull one of them in. And the neat thing is you can check things you already know to be true. So we can write in something like, is 3 less than, let's say, 9? So is 3 less than 9? And don't forget that the mouth points in the direction of the bigger number, or the this symbol opens in the direction. So if you click on the block, if it says true, it means that's right. So yes, 3 is less than 9. Let's say we make it wrong. So do this on purpose. We'll say 9 is less than 3. So 9 is less than 3 is what we're saying in that sentence. Let's see if it's true. It's actually not true. It's false. It's wrong. So this is a neat feature within Scratch. You can often check these to see if it, what that block does. So one thing we can do is we can check, and I like to check. Let's see if this time, let's make it any value greater than 50%. So we're going to say that I'm going to switch the operator I want to use to, because I kind of like this one operator a little bit more. Sorry, I right-clicked on it there. I use this one operator, and I like this one a little bit more. So this one I like because I can start with loudness, and I can make loudness greater. So I'm going to say that I'm going to check, and we're going to check to see, and I'm going to use the if then else statement. So I'm going to say if the loudness is greater than a certain number, then do something. So let's say we want at 50% or 50 units of loudness. So if the loudness is greater than 50, then let's do something. Otherwise, let's do something else. I hope this makes sense so far about kind of what I'm saying. So what I'm going to do next is I need to make sure that we're checking for this within our forever. So it's going to happen forever and ever and ever and ever and ever and ever, ever, ever. So what we're going to do is we will take this value and we're going to take that and let's get something to happen. So I'm going to go into looks again and let's go to change color effect by 25, but that's kind of boring. And I'm sure everybody will agree with me that that is really boring. Let's change it to whirl. So now, anytime the loudness is greater than 50, the costume will get whirled. Otherwise, let's get something else to happen. We'll get, we'll go with a look, and we'll go with a change color effect. We'll set, we'll just do a change and we'll reverse what we're doing. So if it's, we gotta go to whirl. Sit there. There we go. So now what we can do is now we're going to change the whirl effect backwards if it's less than 50. So if it's greater than 50, we're going to change the whirl effect. If it's less than 50, let's do something more dramatic. I kind of feel like we need to make this really obvious what's happening here, so it's not just something that's kind of like, I'm not sure what's happening. Let's change the pixelate by 25 if it's quiet. It's going to be actually kind of crazy what happens here. So press stop, press the flag. So you can kind of see him pixelating there. So let's press the space bar. I'm going to start making it loud, and you can see he's pixelating right there. And let's let it go away. I'm going to actually stop the pixelate because I think it's kind of breaking things. And let's just get him to think. So let's try that again. So one problem is he doesn't think something else. So if the loudness is greater than 50, that's going to think, wow, it's loud. Loud in here. There we go. So now let's try that again. So it's quiet. Whoa. You can see I even hit 100%, and when we hit 100%, our color changed. When we reverse everything back to normal. You can see I'm twisting him a little bit. Twisting him, twisting. So you can see the idea. Spacebar back to normal. So there's lots of different ways you can use this. Another way I used it is I made this activity called shark costume change. Change my spelling up there. Alright, so with the shark costume change, what happens is I'm just going to press play. I'll just show you how it works. So you need to be a certain loudness, and as I get to a certain loudness, I get the shark's costume to change. Ooh. And if you're quiet, nothing happens. So to show you what I did inside, is I went and said, alright, I brought in the shark because I knew he had 2 different costumes. The shark's costumes, he actually has 3, but I deleted the 3rd costume. And what I did was, within the scripts, I said, if the loudness is greater than 20, so I know I kind of did this in the reverse order, and I can kind of fix that up to make it look like it makes a little bit more sense. So make loudness to be greater than 20, just so it looks like before, and I kind of like my sentences to make a bit more sense. So if the loudness is greater than 20, then I have them wait half a second, and it's kind of neat if you take out this wait. Watch what happens if you take out the wait on this one. It's kind of crazy. So ready? Look at what happens when you take that wait out. He just goes bananas. So I added the weight in so it doesn't go as crazy when I go, and having that weight just kind of makes it a little bit more natural, and you can actually make that weight shorter. You can go to like 0.2, and now he really chomps and chomps and chomps, and you can do this all sorts of different ways. So that's another creative way you can do this. Then I thought, all right, well, let's make a game using this. So I click the green flag, I click allow, now we're allowed to use the mic. So this game, what I did was I have Scratchy moving up and down, and I have balls coming in. So you gotta say, I move them up, and I keep them up in the air by talking with the volume. Oh, he just missed. Oh, got hit. So you can see I lost a life when he got hit, and all the balls disappeared. So now it restarts. So I'm gonna let him fall down a bit. Gotta be real quiet. And I gotta lift him up. So I lift him up with this. Now the tricky parts about this, we're not letting him go at the top. So you see I stopped him from leaving at the top of the screen, so I actually put a limit on how far up the screen he could go. And then I also put a limit on how far down he could go. So watch this, and you can watch him fall down. He stops where the ground is. So again, he goes up, gets hit by a ball, loses a life. I've made a variable called lives to do that. And then when he gets hit and loses all his lives, game over shows up. So there's a way to use that. So for this Scratch challenge, what you're going to do is you're going to use the loudness feature. Use those greater than, less than operators that I've shown you. You can use the equals operator I've shown you to get different things to happen to sprites. You can get them to say things. You can get them to change costumes. You can get them to have different colors. You can get them to move based on the loudness of the mic. I'm going to hold back, and I'll post the mic ball. Well, I'll post the mic ball link within the YouTube description and on the post that I put on Google Plus for people, so you can check that out, or G Plus, to be able to see how I built this game. It's a little bit trickier, but you can check that out. But make something happen with the loudness is the challenge. So you be creative, using crazy different ways. I showed you 3 ways I use it, and I can think of lots of other ways that you could be able to use this awesome tool within Scratch. So I look forward to your work, and make sure to tag your projects with TLDSB code.